We do direct to seller, which is the pre-foreclosure, direct to agent, which is MLS, and direct to wholesaler, where we just try to dispo wholesalers deals. So those are the three things that we do. It's like the three-pronged approach, and we let people, we basically say focus on one of them because there's deals in all of them. So when you ask about the agents, yeah, there's a lot of deals to be had on the MLS as well, because a lot of agents get aggressive and they'll list a house too high and it won't move, and that doesn't mean the seller's not motivated. That just means that the agent just thought they could get more. And what we're seeing is a lot of agents the properties aren't moving. They don't want to drop the price where it really needs to be. So we have agents that are like, yeah, they're really willing to take this, and they're just dropping the price of where, as low as the seller's willing to go because they want to move it.
All right, deal finders, we are back with my friend Nathan Payne. And guys, this is going to be an intense podcast because he is the man. He's teaching about flipping and wholesaling. So he's got a lot of great information. But last time we talked to him, he lived in a whole nother country. So real estate is rocking this guy's world. It's helping him to live the life he wants. So we're gonna talk about that, Nathan. And where do you live now? And what did real estate have to do with that?
Man, real estate had everything to do with it. It has everything to do with it still. It's going to have it's just everything, right? So I live in Canada right now, and I never thought in my wildest dreams I would be a Canadian or live in Canada, but I'm from the States, but I live here now. So
Yeah, I love it. And so, guys, I just teased that just to get you interested in the podcast, because we're going to dive in to some real estate tactics and tips and tricks to help you grow your business with Nathan. So if this is your first time listening, make sure you like and subscribe. Go to the YouTube channel if you're not watching this so that you can see us. But stay tuned, get a pen and paper, and we're going to dive right in. So, Nathan, tell me about that move. What got you guys to get up and leave Utah to go to Canada?
yeah, man, good question. So my wife is originally from the Toronto area, in Canada, right? So she hasn't lived here probably for the last like 14 years or so. And but we would always come and visit, right? We'd always come and visit the family, and we'd come and see them. We'd have fun. We come in the winter, we'd go ice skating. Her family's really big into like outdoor activities like birding. Like they actually go out in the woods and look for birds, which I never even heard of until I married her, and that's actually a pretty big activity that people like to do. So we go birding, ice skating, we just do a bunch of outdoor stuff. So we had a good time. And where she lived in Canada is like, they call it cottage country. It's like where there's a lot of cottages, it's out in the country. So I was like, man, I really like this pace out here, because when we go back to the States where I'm from in Salt Lake City, Utah, it's a city, right? Like you got tons of neighbors, like even in the neighborhood, you got a bunch of people like can see into your yard, and the pace, it's just like keeping up with the Joneses. You feel like everybody's always trying to like, one up each other. At least like where I was from, it seems like everybody cares about like material things like big cars and big houses. And I don't really care about any of that stuff. So again, when I would go out there, I'd be like, man, this is the life right here. So I was like, let's move out there. Let's do it. So, and real estate enabled me to do it.
I love that, man. I love that. And the reason I just lead off with that question is because the real estate business is big. It's wide. There's lots of things you can do in this business. But ultimately, I believe, and what I taught on at our meetup just this week here in Columbia, we have local live meetups free for anybody that wants to come. You guys, if you're close, come in. But the message was that real estate is so big and so wide, and it's the best place for anybody and everybody to build something that can create financial and time freedom, which is what you have experienced because you have the freedom to move to Canada, right? If you want to, or stay where you are if you want to. And so that's what's so amazing about real estate. And so let's get into that. Let's talk real estate now. Enough with the bird watching and the ice skating. So you started real estate. How did you get started? Was it in Utah? Was that where you got your start?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So I graduated from college, and I was doing door-to-door sales at the time. I had been doing door-to-door sales for like 6-7 years, and I was making good money. Had some teams that I would go sell with. and it was nice, but it's a very transient lifestyle because you got to basically travel to go to knock in different areas, different states. So I was like, man, I'm kind of tired of that. I don't want to do that. I'm married. I don't want to like move anymore. So what can I do will make good money, and I can stay in one location. Then I thought about real estate, and I went right into real estate with having zero knowledge of what wholesaling was. I didn't know what wholesaling was. I just knew I had to go find a discounted property and sell it to somebody. And I just started $0, didn't know anything about it, and just went in all in and figured it out.
I love that. I love that. So, guys, if you are just getting started or haven't started in real estate yet, these are the type of things that drive successful people to get in. Is looking for, you know, looking for something that will support their lifestyle. And many of you listening might be in that situation where like this job is not supporting my lifestyle, is not supporting my family the way I'd like it to. So, what else is out there? That might be how you found us. So. All right, Nathan, what would you give? And we'll kind of jump in because you've been on our podcast before. We'll have to link this below to get your origin story, right? That cut scene from the movies.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to link that podcast below so people can hear that. But can you just give us a little bit of advice? Because I know you work with students and clients about getting them started. What's the
Right.
best advice that you give or that you've seen to help people get in to real estate?
You know what? It's just something I still struggle with. I think it's everything. It's like what most entrepreneurs struggle with. They struggle with taking action and feeling confident with the action they're taking that it's going to get them where they want to go, right? Because there's so many things to do in real estate, right? You can knock doors, you can cold call, you can do pay per click, PPC, you can send mail. So it's like, what do I do that's going to get me the return that I want? What's going to get me a deal? And what I've learned through talking with you, with talking with tons of people, because I'm always a student of the game, it's majority of everything works, right? Like if you buckle down and you commit and you take action, you stay consistent and diligent, right? That's the hard part. It's like mostly everything will work lead gen wise. You just got to do it. What I've seen that's really important for people that are in this is like having conversations is like the key, right? Like you have to generate the people to talk to, and then you have to get good at having those conversations. So if you're new and you're like, man, what's worth my time to go after? Pick something and stick at it and get really good at it, and improve on the sales side. That's kind of like what I would want everyone to know. Don't think so much about like so hard about what exactly you have to do to generate the lead. Just pick something and go for it.
Oh, I like that. So you mentioned a couple of lead sources and I want to break that down just a little bit for people that
Same
are
here.
brand new and or you've been in it for a little while. I can tell you kind of our story. Um, Back in 2007 is when I first bought my first house, and that was by driving down and saw a sign, right? Down a road, saw a sign. Got our next couple of rentals and the next flips all through people we knew were sending us ideas. We saw them on the street. Agents would send us properties to look at. We went all the way from 2007 to 2018 or maybe 17 before I knew the word wholesaling. And if I didn't know the word wholesaling, I certainly didn't know what PPC was or uh,
True.
direct mail, all of that, like cold calling. You know, I had no idea what that meant in relation to real estate. So, guys, if you've been in this for a while and you're still like, I have no idea what Nathan just said, it's okay. And that's fine. I think what he's getting at is you don't have to know all that. And uh, don't get sidetracked in trying to figure out every little way to do this. Pick one, pick something,
Right.
and that works. So I love that. And we can define all the terms we want, but really, um, it's the action that, like you said, is taking the action and being confident in that action. So how did
Yeah,
how did someone
and having the conversations. I mean, you said yourself like what 2007 to 2017, you didn't really know what any of that stuff was, but what were you doing in that time to get deals? You were talking to people, agents, you were having the right conversations, right?
yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, out there just telling people what we were looking for and asking agents to help us out because my wife and I, we both had full-time jobs, and we had hired in 2015, we decided we were going to do this business, and we hired our first mentor coach to teach us how to flip like profitably, right? Because we didn't want to make all these mistakes. We had
Yep.
jobs and two kids, one on the way. It was like, look, if we're going to flip, we don't have time to lose money and like learn this the hard way because we've been learning for 10 years the hard way, how to do rental
Yeah.
houses. And so we hired a mentor, a coach, and he taught us how to flip. And you know what? The best thing he didn't do for us is he didn't tell me about wholesaling. He didn't tell me about PPC and all this stuff. He told me about how to flip houses and how to get it
Yeah.
done profitably. And so then we're like, all right, we got this ball rolling. And then he's actually the one that introduced us to wholesaling because we had a deal under contract from an agent, and it was a foreclosure deal and all this stuff. And he said he needed a deal. And I was like, look, we're kind of overworked. You can have this one. I was like, I'll just buy it and you can buy it from me. He's like, no, no, just wholesale it to me. And that's how we learned
That's
what
awesome.
wholesaling was. Yeah. So you mentioned something I want to ask you. Confidence in taking action. Um, there's a lot of different steps you could take. How does someone get confident in their action?
You, man, that is a difficult, really, that's difficult because it can be difficult to be, it's difficult to answer because it's very hard to be confident in something you're not good at, right? Because most of the time, like when you first start, you're like, you just don't think you're that good, or like, man, I see all these other guys, they're way better on the phone. And the key to getting confident at taking action is like you just like have a mentor or have someone to tell you, or just like a roadmap of what you need to do, and know that with time, you will get better at it inevitably. Like it's just going to happen. That's just the laws of the universe, the laws of life. Like if you don't give up, like you get better. And so I would say make sure, like obviously you have to be pointed in the right direction, and that's what these podcasts are for. It's what, talking with you or me, we can guide you, but know that as you take those actions, you're going to be more confident and get better with time.
Yeah. Getting some reps in, right? That's kind of how we hear it.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
getting in there, and I think what you said is getting pointed in the right direction. Um, and we talked a little bit about your community, the painless flipping, that you help people, you kind of guide them in the right direction. Um, how do you do that? Like what's that look like?
It's very hands-on, as I know you're hands-on as well. So, like, if someone brings me a deal and says, "Hey, I'm talking to a seller and or an agent, I don't really know if this is a deal or not." Like, it takes that hands-on help to be like, hey, this is something that is worth your time. This is something that, you got something here. So we actually like look at deals from our students, potential deals, and we kind of we give them what's called like a deal roadmap, where we make a video for them and let them know like, hey, this is what I would do if I were in your situation. This is where this could go. Or, hey, you're looking at something that's in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where you got this lead. Don't waste your time. And we've had to say it to a lot of people, we've had to say, hey, like the tough thing about stuff like that is like we have one student that like brought us a deal. It's like two properties that a seller wants to sell in a like combined portfolio, and it's like, so as a new student, like you're like, oh man, this is awesome that he wants to sell me two properties at one time. And it's just like we got to let him down easy, be like, hey, that's going to be kind of more difficult for have an investor to wholesale that to, because they're going to have to want both properties. Usually they're not selling at that great of a deal. Anyway, it's working with people and kind of letting them know what works, what doesn't, what's worth their time.
I love that. I love that. Again, as having a mentor or coach, somebody like that, um, one of the driving factors for Michelle and I back in 2016, like I said, was time. We just we did not want to waste time learning through hard knocks, right? And we were blessed to have enough money to pay to skip that, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that's all money is an opportunity to speed up, right? To speed up the learning,
That's it.
skipping the line, if you will. What's the Disney fast pass thing, right? If you got money, you can get the fast pass and you
That's
skip
it.
the line. Um, so that's great that you help people with that. I love that. And that kind of leads me into, the real meat of this podcast of let's give some people some actual steps to go find their next deal, right? Because I know you're really good at that. Uh, you kind of talk about how you help people through that. How if somebody's just getting started, how could they go find a deal today? What are some of the maybe just one or two tactics that you would use?
What I've been telling most of the clients that I work with is pre-foreclosures and being more tactful about getting a hold of them. Because when I first started doing pre-foreclosures, I would like maybe text and call, put them in like a Mojo dialer or something like that. But and I didn't really know if I got a hold of the right person. I just like would hammer the list until I got someone to say, yes, I want to sell, right? But now I tell people like, hey, look, you're going to be like a detective. You're going to pull this list of 50 or 100 and you're going to make your goal is to get a hold of everyone in the sense of like the right person. And that's it. Right. And what the students are doing with the clients I'm working with now, they're saying, okay, I haven't gotten a hold of John. I've called all the numbers and I've gotten a hold of some people, but it hasn't been him. I'm going to go to the next step. Right. I've called text. I haven't been able to find him. I'm going to go knock his door. Okay. I knocked the door. He's there. Okay. It's actually not, he's not there. He passed away and his wife's there or like whoever is there. So it's just like being more diligent, right, about getting a hold of people versus like let's just hammer a list. So that's what I would recommend for someone that's new is like, you don't need a lot of money. You don't or any money really because you can skip trace for free now on a lot of services. You can get the list for free and it just takes you a cell phone, right, to do this and you just have to be disciplined and take action. That's how I got a couple of my first deals was pre-foreclosures and it's tried and true. It'll never go away. People don't, they miss their payments and they have issues and problems. So that's one of if we're going to talk about meat and potatoes, like that's an actual actionable step that people could take to get a deal.
Yeah, I love that. So, one thing I'm just going to plug this so people, if you don't know where to get that data, where to get their phone numbers and address and the foreclosures, dealfinderdata.com is a spot that we put together with some friends that allows you to get to that info really quick, and keep it all in one place. So you can pull data from there. So I really love what you're saying, Nathan, to your community about going being tactful, going a little bit deeper. And the reason I like that is because it helps you stand out. And if you're just getting started, or you're like, hey, and this is the way we talk about it as our local market. I want to do business in my market. So I'm gonna go deep into this market. I'm gonna find all of the people on this list and make sure I've talked to them all. Whereas the people that are not local, or they're the bigger companies that are just hitting everybody, waiting for somebody to return. They don't have time. They don't have energy. They don't go as deep into the list, so they miss 50, at least 50%, if not 75%
Oh,
of that list because
of
it
course.
takes more effort, right?
It does. Yeah. Yeah, and they don't have, like you said, the time or the effort, the money, or the ability to do that, right? Especially if their employees like are out of the country, or they're like outsourcing their cold calling somewhere else. So
Yeah, I love that. So that can help you stand out in your market. And one of the things that we talked about in our meetup the other day was really, if you don't have a capital stack, or the financing to kind of get you going, and you really need a deal, right? You really need a deal, some revenue quickly. Then you take those 100 people and you have to and you talk to all of them. You're going to spend your energy, your effort. That is your payment, right? That's your
yeah,
capital. And so put
yeah.
it on the list. Go talk to those sellers. So, what's another list that's working well for you right now? Do you have any others?
One thing we like to do is we like to work on other wholesalers' deals that are in the market. Whether you can find them on Facebook groups or just get on emailers lists like the buyers lists. and you just see what they're trying to put out there. And if you see like a price reduction, you're like, hey, they're kind of struggling to sell this deal. Let me call and see. And a lot of people hear this and be like, if you know about daisy chaining, this is not daisy chaining where you're just trying to sell people's deals without their permission. No, we're reaching out to the wholesalers and just that have these deals and saying, hey, I might have some buyers that would be interested. Do you mind if I run this by them? And you don't blast it out to a giant list. You just have a couple. We teach our people how to get relationships with cash buyers, like a couple key cash buyers, and run these deals by them and see where they would pay and see if you can make some deals happen that way. So that's not necessarily a list, but that you could say that's kind of like a strategy that we're implementing through, like I guess that buyer's email list.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's another strategy. It's another lead generator for your deals. So I love that. What about and this I'm asking because we're seeing it here in our market. What about on the MLS? Are you guys seeing more opportunities come out there or what?
Yeah, so just so everyone that's listening, there's three ways that we work with people like that. We teach like newer investors, or not even newer, but just investors in general. We do direct to seller, which is the pre-foreclosure, direct to agent, which is MLS, and direct to wholesaler, where we just try to dispo wholesalers deals. So those are the three things that we do. It's like the three-pronged approach, and we basically say focus on one of them because there's deals in all of them. So when you ask about the agents, yeah, there's a lot of deals to be had on the MLS as well because a lot of agents get aggressive and they'll list a house too high and it won't move, and that doesn't mean the seller's not motivated. That just means that the agent just thought they could get more. And what we're seeing is a lot of agents the properties aren't moving. They don't want to drop the price where it really needs to be. So we have agents that are like, yeah, they're really willing to take this, and they're just dropping the price of where, as low as the seller's willing to go because they want to move it.
Yeah, I love that. So we're seeing the MLS right now being there's a lot more inventory. Our prices are still up, so we haven't seen like a price drop or anything like that, but there's more
Right.
inventory, which means things move slower. There's not necessarily more buyers yet. And so we're seeing them move slower. So we're seeing sellers get, antsy. And like you said, the agents are maybe just they're pricing too high. Maybe they, remember the good old days where anything you put would sell in a minute.
Right.
So we're seeing a lot of sellers actually come to us that it's on the market, but it's not moving. So the sellers are feeling,
Wow.
calling us, filling out our forms. But we're also seeing
Awesome.
good deals on the MLS. The agents put them out there knowing that they need work and pricing them correctly. So we're actually buying straight from the MLS again, which is great for you guys.
It's a good feeling.
Or out there, if you want to be an investor or if you have a full-time job or not, if you want to invest, like you want to flip or you want to buy rentals, multifamily, single family, whatever, your time is best spent doing that part, right? Not going out there with the marketing. So if you can get those leads sent to you, like you said, through wholesalers, through agents, or for the sellers to call you, it is the number one way. It's the
Yeah,
best
that's
thing.
awesome. No, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Nathan, what's next for you? I mean, are you doing deals in Canada or are you just still back home doing them? What's happening with you and your business?
Yeah, I just went to a local RIA meetup here in Canada yesterday, and met some wholesalers here. So I'm like, man, maybe I should start doing some deals here. The only thing is, America, the dollar's stronger, right? So it's I think it's 30% more the American dollar than the Canadian dollar. Like our dollar is worth like 70 cents here, right? Like so the dollar goes further. Does that make sense? Um,
Yes.
yeah, so like our does that make so like for example at Costco, we'll talk about Costco. I love Costco. So Costco, it's still $1.50 here, but really the dollar is stronger, so it's only a dollar. It's a dollar to American to buy $1.50 hot dog here in Canada. So it's like your money goes further. So anyway, the reason why I'm saying that is I'm continuing to do deals in America just because I exchanged it to Canadian dollars, it's more money. Does that make sense?
Right. So you make your revenue in the US
And
and
just
then you
transfer.
can buy stuff there.
Yeah, and I have more money, like it's worth more. So I'm going to continue to do deals. We're looking at a couple of deals right now, one in California that's looking pretty juicy. So, yeah, just continue to do that. We're helping our students do deals. That's where most of our deals come from, and that we're working on, or just from our students. We used to kind of just focus just specifically on our business, but we're like, let's just integrate them since it takes so much of our time to like do the process that we're doing. So, yeah, so still doing stuff in the States, and we'll continue to do so just because that's, you know, unless Canada is just like, I figure out a way to just do it super easy where it's, you don't have to work that hard. But now it still seems kind of like the process is the same. It's just, I'll just do it virtually.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, what are you seeing coming into the next season of the real estate market? Do you see anything around the corner? What do you think's coming out in the new year, or you know, new after the election? We got a lot happening. What do you see coming up?
I don't know. I'm just so used to things just staying the same. Like, I don't think there's going to be like any major changes because, if they drop interest rates again, the prices are just going to get crazier than they already are. In Utah, it's not, prices dropped a little bit, but they're still really high for the amount, the interest rates that we currently have. So I, c- I think if they made like super big changes to interest rates, like it would be bad for the real estate market, in my opinion. It would just cause prices to get crazy. That's my thought. So I don't think much will change. Maybe just maybe a couple quarter points, maybe, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of I feel like it's a little bit on edge, and if they go making a big adjustments, it could. I mean, I think it would just get more expensive, which you're in now. That's great. If you're trying to get
Yeah.
in later, it's going to be harder. So,
Right.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, Nathan, this has been great, man. I like to I'd like to say thanks again for coming on here and
Yeah.
sharing what you've got going on. And you've been so helpful to so many people. And the painless flipping, I just I love what you do out there. Is there anything else you want to leave with the community? How to reach out to you? Where they can go to connect with you?
Yeah, I would say if any of you are interested in the way I kind of do business, I like to be really transparent with the sellers I work with. I like to tell them that I'm wholesaling their property or I'm working and I'm not personally going to buy it. I'm going to work with some other people. So if you guys want to learn how to kind of do that strategy of like that's why I call it painless because it's very easy. Like it takes away the pain of like trying to figure out stuff and tiptoe around stuff sometimes. So if any of you are interested in that, go to my free Facebook group. It's called Painless Flipping Free Facebook group and join that. We give away a free course and we do free trainings every week. So, if you're interested, that's where you can find me and I'd love to help out.
Yeah, I love that. And guys, if you know me, if you've listened to this podcast or been to our meetups, I am 100% supportive of that method of being totally upfront. If you feel like you're biting your tongue and trying not to say something around a seller or a buyer, then you are doing it wrong. This is not,
Right.
it's not about hiding and being behind curtains. It should be upfront, out front. This is a business. There are sellers that need you. There are buyers that need you. So be upfront, and it will be painless. It'll be so much easier when you're not trying to
That's it.
hide stuff. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
uh, you know, unfortunately, we kind of have to say that because of some of the TikTok TikTok gurus and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
appreciate again the way you teach it. So y'all reach out to Nathan and shoot him a message if you want to get connected, or go to Canada and say, hey, I won't be in there right now. I'm in southern. I need warm. I need warm.
That's
But
Man, it's cold up here.
But I appreciate it, y'all. Again, this has been the Deal Finders podcast. If you want to learn more about that, dealfindersclub.com. We have our Facebook group. It's on Facebook. You can find us on Facebook. Shoot me a message if you want to get connected. Until next time, go out there and find you a deal. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast. You can find out more and apply to be a part of the REI Deal Finder community at reidealfinders.club.